All right, India's union budget for 2026-27 has just dropped, and wow, there's a lot in there. But what does it all really mean for you, for your wallet, and for the country? Well, over the next few minutes, we're going to cut right through all that jargon and give you the absolute must-know highlights. Okay, let's just get right to it. The one question, the big one, that's on pretty much everyone's mind whenever a budget comes out. Did my taxes go down? Are we going to have a little more in our pockets this year? And the short, simple answer is nope, not this time. The finance minister has decided to pretty much keep things as they are. So those income tax slabs and rates, they're exactly the same as they were last year. It looks like the government's message here is pretty clear. They're focusing on stability and financial discipline over handing out any immediate tax cuts. Okay, so now that we've got the big tax question out of the way, here's how we're going to break down the rest of it. First, we'll stick with taxes for a bit, because there's some important details. Then, we'll zoom out to the economy's grand plan. After that, we'll see where the money is going to build a future-ready India. And finally, we'll put a spotlight on some key industries getting a serious boost. Sound good? Let's dive in. All right, first up, the bottom line on taxes. Now, the big word here is stability, right? No major changes. But that's not quite the whole picture. There are a few interesting little tweaks that you'll definitely want to know about. So as you can see here, the tax slabs under the new regime, which, by the way, is now the default for most of us, are completely unchanged. Yep, identical to last year. The thinking behind this is to give everyone some predictability, so you can plan your finances without worrying about any sudden curveballs. Okay, but this is where things get interesting. Even though the main rates are the same, there are some key adjustments. For instance, if you're planning an overseas trip or sending money abroad for things like education or medical expenses, there's good news. The tax collected at source, or TCS, has been slashed down to just 2%. Now, on the flip side, if you're a trader in the stock market, the securities transaction tax, or STT, on F&O trades has actually gone up a bit. And there's one more thing, a small but pretty useful change. You now have until March 31st to file a revised income tax return, though you'll have to pay a small fee. Okay, let's pull back for our own bank accounts for a minute and look at the big picture, the entire country's economic strategy. So what's the grand plan here? Let's get into the massive numbers and the thinking that's driving them. This number you see here, 4.3%, is actually really, really important. This is the projected fiscal deficit. Now, what does that mean? Well, just think of it as the gap between how much the government spends and how much it earns. By aiming for a lower number like this, the government is basically saying, hey, we're serious about being financially responsible. It's about trying to live within our means and not borrow as much. So where is all the money going? Well, a huge chunk of it is going right here. We're talking about a capital expenditure, or capex, target of 12.2 trillion rupees. That is a massive number. And just to be clear, this isn't for paying salaries or daily running costs. No, this is all about investment. It's about building long-term assets for the country. Things like brand new roads, modern railways, and bigger ports. But these big numbers aren't just picked out of thin air. They're all guided by a core philosophy. The finance minister talked about this idea called trikartavya, which basically means 3 duties. And this one concept, really, is the bedrock for all the major economic choices in this budget. So what are these 3 duties? Well, here they are. Number 1, keep the economic engine running strong and steady. Number 2, fulfill people's aspirations by helping them build skills and capacity. And number 3, make sure that everyone has access to resources and opportunities. These 3 ideas are basically the why behind all those big spending numbers we were just looking at. Okay, so we know the grand plan, but where is that huge chunk of investment money, that capex budget, actually going? Well, that's what we're jumping into next, the specific big-ticket items designed to build a future-ready India. And wow, this list right here, it's like a roadmap to the future. You've got a huge push with the India Semiconductor Mission 2.0. That's absolutely crucial for being self-reliant in tech. Then there are new freight corridors to make moving goods faster and cheaper. And look at this, rare earth corridors. That's a super strategic move, since those minerals are in everything from electric cars to our smartphones. It's all about building a solid physical and tech backbone for the economy. And for our last section, let's zoom in a little closer. The government is putting some serious cash into a couple of very specific sectors, industries they're betting on to really drive growth and create jobs down the line. First on the list, biopharma. And the goal here is nothing short of massive. The idea is to turn India into a global powerhouse for manufacturing the next generation of advanced medicines. And to make that happen, they're backing it up with some serious money. A 10,000 crore rupee fund is being set up for something called the Biopharma Shakti Initiative. This cash is all about building that whole complex ecosystem you need to produce really advanced medicines. Things like biologics and biosimilars, right here in India. All right, next up, the spotlight turns to what many people call the real engine of the Indian economy. All those millions of small and medium businesses, the MSMEs, that are just so vital for creating jobs. And hey, look at that number. It's another 10,000 crore rupee fund. This one is specifically for a new MSME growth fund. The whole point is to give promising small and medium businesses the money they need to grow bigger, to innovate, and of course, to create that next big wave of employment. So when you step back and look at the whole thing, this budget makes a really clear choice, doesn't it? It's decided to pass on short-term goodies, like a tax cut, in favor of a long-term game plan focused on investment and financial discipline. The big bet here is that by building a stronger, more resilient economy today, we'll all be better off tomorrow. Which of course leaves us with the big question, is this focus on long-term stability the right foundation